Hey guys, I want to do a quick talk about vision, goals, and some management techniques. As you'll see throughout the presentation, there's a lot of examples that relate to ships, crews on the ship, and the journey of the ship. That's why it's called All Aboard. So let's jump right in. So phase one, really, the team's coming together. They maybe it's the first time they're working together. They really don't understand each other's personalities or let's say picadillos, right? And they don't understand the overall direction of where that project is going or how the team relates to the project. The vision of the project or company hasn't really been explained to them on where we're trying to go as a team or an organization. Communication is lacking. They don't really collaborate together. They have no understanding of that. People are probably pretty siloed in their day to day. They were hired on to do a specific task. They're in there doing that task, and as long as they feel like they're doing that task, everything is all good. Group really doesn't understand why or how their work matters to the overall organization, and the group has no idea who does what in their skills. Right, that's a pretty important part of a team or organization maturing is when you can look around the organization and know exactly people's strong points, some of their weaknesses possibly, and how you can utilize a lot of that stuff when you're trying to drive a project or a team or an organization. So you'll see a lot of these sketches in here. I just want to send a shout out to my brother for drawing these. I did this presentation a couple months ago, and it was my awesome whiteboard sketches that were in that presentation. So I think this looks 1,000 times better. So phase two, the boat's underway. The folks are still rowing below, but now there's a person up on the deck that's looking out over the ocean. There's a little more coordination going on. The person is looking out over the water is actually communicating with the rowing team. Hey, we need to go left, right. Sails up, sails down. People are starting to understand who the better rowers are, who the better communicators are. There's a little sense of team unity that's building now. Everyone's kind of rowing in unison. Now that they have someone looking out over the ocean, they have a short-term vision, right? Somebody can actually look out a little farther than where the boat is, maybe not too far, but they can look out far enough where they understand where they're going to be in a month or two, right? Which doesn't sound like much, but when you start on a team that's fairly unorganized or doesn't really collaborate well together, and you ask somebody, hey, where are we going to be in a month with this project or with this team or this organization, and you get a lot of blank stares, you really need to start looking forward because people need a goal or a vision to work towards, right? So if you can't explain that to somebody, hey, this is where we're going to be in a month or 2 months or 6 months, you have to sit down with your leadership team and the team overall and start figuring out where you guys are trying to go. Because if people don't understand what the short-term goals are, you're never going to get to your long-term or mid-term goals. So, within the team, there's a guy on the bow now. He's looking out over the thing, over the ocean. You have some alignment within the organization, right? You have upper management who might be coming in and saying, hey, this is where we want to go. This is where we want the boats to go. This is the shipment they're going to make. You're starting to see other ships on the ocean and barriers, right? So you're starting to identify roadblocks or impediments, right? That's a big part of within Scrum, right? As you have a retrospective, you kind of look back over time and you figure out how you can improve and get better the next time or next, journey you're going to make. So, and that's a big thing the Scrum Master is really looking out for is there something that's impeding some of the people on the team from doing the work they want to do? So another part of it is, it's not just somebody doing their day-to-day work. They're actually saying, hey, I'm doing this thing. I'm building this widget. I'm drawing this mock-up, and this is how this is all going to relate up to a big term goal for the company organization and how it fits into the overall strategy of where the company is trying to go as a whole. Also, you have technology and process improves, right? Now it's not just somebody sitting there rowing with a bunch of other people. They're all rowing in unison. They're communicating when they need to. They're making turns when they need to. And, the technology's probably gotten better on the ship too, right? Where the guy on the bow is now looking through a telescope out, and he can look a lot farther than just with his naked eye. And maybe the rows that the team is using is improved. So phase three, I look at it as, really the optimal place where you want your team to be, at least with the teams that I've worked with in the past. They understand the long-term vision. They're actually working as a team, not just as a group. Working in a team is totally different than just as a group, right? The group, you can have a bunch of contractors come in, be from different vendors. They really don't communicate or collaborate because there's nothing that depends on them collaborating with other people on the team because they answer to a higher power within their own organization. So once you have that team aspect, people are actually looking out for each other, not just on a business sense, but on a personal sense too, right? So somebody maybe on daily stand up, they say, hey, my kid's sick today, I have to take off. And then you have other team members that are actually looking to help other team members, right? They go, oh, okay, I'm going to do my work, but I'm also going to work on this part of the project that you were responsible for today, so you don't fall too far behind. And you get that camaraderie going where teammates are looking out for each other, and they want to succeed overall. So it's not just a, hey, this project we want to succeed, but it's also they want to see other team members succeed in the long run. And from a management side, you really should be looking towards that too, right? Sitting down with them on a one-on-one kind of meeting basis, at least monthly, understand what their personal goals are and their long-term goals. So as a manager, you can help them kind of align with that and maybe reach out within the organization or company to kind of pinpoint who mentor opportunities or just peer opportunities that they should be talking to other folks that understand that skill set and they're already maybe where this person wants to be now. So along with the team getting better, you also have folks on the team that understand who's really good at doing what, right? So when you're looking at a project and you say, hey, Jimmy Joe over here is really good at doing the bamboo builds, right, and the deployment plans. You might have another folk that is really like the Docker expert on the team. So you can go back to him, talk to him, get more suggestions about how to do better builds in Docker from the CI/CD servers, and build off that, but also start pairing people too, right? So if you have a team that's very siloed, well, have one person that's an expert in something, you pair somebody up with that person for about a month, and it'll be amazing what you find, right? It's not just, hey, I'm going to pair you up with this person. That other person that's pairing has to have the initiative to say, I'm going to learn Docker this month, right? And go off and learn the online documentation, install Docker on their local machine or a server at home, and start kicking the tires on their own. So when they go in, they're not just asking, the mentor or the peer what the answers are. They're actually asking questions that might be a more advanced topic than just waiting around. Also, phase three, we don't just have a guy in the bow anymore. There's a guy up in the crow's nest, right? So we can see even farther out in the ocean. We can see other obstacles. We can see other ships. We can communicate with these other ships. And we can avoid the long-term barrier that just looking out from the bow we might have never seen, or we didn't understand what it was, so we couldn't make those maneuvers to avoid it altogether. A lot of this, the barriers that I bring up from a business sense is you're working on a project, things may not be going 100% what you expected, or the timeline's not following along with what you thought it would be, and you have to make adjustments. You might go to the management or upper management and kind of plead the case on what's going on, and they're going to tell you one or two things, right? Stay the course, or what are the other options we have, right? From a management sense and a team sense, you need to have those other options available for management to make a better sound decision. So at this point, you're actually doing things, you're kicking them out, you're executing on your plan. If things go a little farther off of the alignment of what you thought they were going to be accomplished in, everyone understands that quickly, so it's not a shock to them, in a 2-year contract where something's supposed to be delivered within that 2-year span, and you get to month 23 and you go, this isn't going to be done. You're not panicking, right? You've already made the adjustments. You've delivered on the smaller things that you said you're going to deliver on, and you can work out from there. So it's not a total failure, right? So you want to be able to fail fast and quick, learn from those mistakes, and keep delivering on the stuff that's vital to your organization or team that you're working within. So, at this point too, stage 3 or phase 3, you're going to have a team that actually knows what they do on their day-to-day is impacting the direct success of the company. You've implemented new technology within the team to collaborate and work together better. An example of this is you might have a lot of remote or virtual workers that aren't in the office with you on the day-to-day. Well, it's important to keep up that FaceTime, right? To be able to bring up a WebEx or do a video call through Slack or whatever your medium is, and see that person day to day and actually see their face. Because when you have these calls and it's just a voice talking out of nowhere, people don't make that connection of, oh, that's Johnny Joe or Jimmy Joe talking, and look at him today. You got a haircut, and you can start making some more personal comments about the person, that just builds on that camaraderie that we talked about earlier. And lastly, phase 3, you're getting pretty efficient cranking out and executing on what you're talking about and working on. The team should be constantly and 100% looking at how could what I do today be automated so I don't have to do it tomorrow, or I can do it 10 times faster than I'm doing it right now. And that's what your organization really should be looking at automation anyway, is there's things I do on my day-to-day that might take 10 minutes, but if I automated it and applied a script to it, it may maybe take 3 seconds, right? And then you can go do the calculation, the metrics on ROI and how important it is to automate and all that good stuff. But you still have to remember, before you automate, you should still be figuring out if you understand what's going into it. So, I covered a lot of stuff here, but the final points are this stuff takes a lot of time, right? You can't just put a bunch of people together and call them a team, within a week. It takes time to build those personal experiences, the respect, and the kind of collaboration and communication we talked about before. It's important for the team to be open and honest with each other. That comes with its goods and bads, right? Because sometimes people are a little too honest, and the person that they might be honest to don't know how to take that criticism. And it takes a while to get to that point where somebody can be open about that and also take the criticism and not turn into a bitter person on the team. So within the team, they should be establishing their own expectations of each other. The hours you're going to work during the day, especially if you have a remote team or a worldwide team. The availability and accountability. When are you going to be available? If you're going to take PTO, you're not going to call out sick last minute without the team being okay with that. The quality work is going to be what everyone expects. That's where a lot of the acceptance criteria comes in when you're building issues or stories out. So when you get to the end, you're not saying, oh, did you do XYZ? And they go, I didn't even know that I was supposed to do XYZ. Right? It's already defined within the issue about the work they're going to be doing and how they're going to be doing it. So there's no unexpected risks involved. Another thing is self-organizing team. So this is big in the agile sense. You should be able to set the goals and kind of explain what you want to do and allow the team to organize on their best plan of action to execute in the quickest manner to produce what you're looking for. It's kind of a different way to look at it when it comes to management. And, I've had a hard time with it over the last 2 years where, I have this team that they weren't the most organized team when I started. And then they became a very highly effective, organized team that collaborated great, and I was very hands-off, right? It gave me more time to look out and plan vision and plan goals and roadmaps, which was a change for me because usually you're in the trenches and, putting out fires on at least a weekly basis. And what I found within this team is we weren't really dealing with day-to-day fires because quality of our work was pretty high, and we didn't have to worry about bugs actually being identified in production because we were doing all the front end work to build in tests and actually make sure the logic of the application worked correctly. Also, the last piece here is continuous improvement. Like I said before, the team members really should be looking at their day-to-day and saying, hey, what's really the important part of my day, so I can focus on that work instead of the other work where it might not be as important and it's not really helping the company overall in the long run. This gets a little touchy in spaces where maybe you have an organization where they have ethics training and kind of required training for the year, let's call it. And somebody can be sitting there for hours taking video, watching videos and taking these little quizzes to make sure that their ethics or their understanding of certain policies the organization is setting are understood. You got to do that to an extent, but when it starts taking over the employees day to day and they can't focus on the job that they're there to do, upper management really should be looking at that stuff and saying, is this really the most important use of our company or our employees' times. Next part is, vision needs to be told as a story that continues to evolve. I've been in a lot of different places where somebody will set a goal that's 2 years out, and let's say something within the company doesn't go as planned, or strategic vision changes. You need to be able to make that pivot, right, and go, hey, and explain to your team and the organization specifically, we were trying this before, it didn't really work out very well, or we tried this before, it went great, so we're going to continue with this course of action and the goals that we've set. But if you're going to pivot and make a new strategic vision, you got to explain that to the company or your team and the employees, so they understand that the work that they might have been doing before isn't the central role of that work anymore. You've focused and you've shifted, and some people are going to pick up new skill sets or new tasks along the way. Everyone in the company really should understand the elevator pitch of the company. So if you are, at a conference, or you're talking to somebody on the day-to-day, and you go, hey, what do you do? They should be able to give a pretty good overview of what the company does and where you guys are at least headed in the short term, and what your strategic vision is, if it's allowed to be discussed with other people outside the company. You also want to have that common vision across the company, so you have different departments within your company that they understand what other departments are actually feeding into the overall vision of the organization, and why they need to be working and collaborating with these other teams. Also, the last one is repeat the goals and vision. You have to keep instilling in the folks, this is where we're going, this is what we're trying to do, so they don't lose sight of what the overall objective is. Last thing I wanted to leave you with is, be ready to kill things that are failing. Get stuck in this organization where a team or a project that they sit there and they're trying to do something, and the way they're trying to do it might not work or better the overall project, and they keep trying to do that over and over again, right? And that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, sometimes you just need to step back and say, this isn't working, how can we do it differently? And be open to those suggestions. A lot of times I see that, from an upper management perspective, is you'll have one person that might be in a high role, and they'll start discussing something without even conferring with the folks that are actually be doing the work. And there's different strategies or ways of doing this work that an employee might know that, an upper management role might not understand. And when they explain it, they're kind of force feeding the employees to do it a certain way, when the employee's like, hey, I could do this other way, and it's going to be 10 times quicker and take me 2 days of work to do. So, you got to be open, honest, and be ready for, that openness to go both ways. So if somebody says something you don't like, they're not being disrespectful personally to you. It's more either the way the company's working, or a question within the team or the project, and how it could be done better and more efficiently.